It's now been 2 days since the stabbing spree that occurred in Donaghmede in County Dublin, which saw a Ukrainian teenager who was an international protection applicant, asylum seeker, fatally wounded. That information was released yesterday. It turns out that the apartment that these teenagers, they were all foreign teenagers that they were staying in, was actually being operated. I've got the details of this in this report. That was being operated on behalf of Tusla by a firm with, let's just say, links to the Middle East. It has also transpired that the attacker, the person that was responsible for murdering or killing, allegedly, this Ukrainian teen, was a Somalian. He's a Somalian teen who's also seeking international protection, as well as wounding other people that were there, including a member of staff that was part of that operation that was going on in Grattan Wood. This is a real mess, an absolute mess. And aside from the fact that a young man has lost his life, so many questions have yet to be answered. So I'm going to play a quick video clip that's a summary of where we're at. Then we're going to look at the attacker. The attacker is currently in hospital awaiting surgery on his hands. Injuries that were sustained during his attack on other people. And it's being reported that he's being kept a close eye on. Not just under observation, but Gardaí are keeping a close eye on him. So plenty more to reveal in this case. So let's just get straight into it here. This is a news clip summary of where we were at as per yesterday evening.
We're building the picture now of the victim involved in this case, 17-year-old Vadym Davydenko from Ukraine. He'd only been in Ireland a number of days before he was fatally wounded at an apartment complex in Dublin.
I just want to stop there and just pause for thought here. They're focusing this very much on the victim of this attack, 17-year-old from Ukraine. Fair enough. They're not talking too much about the person that actually did the attack. And if you look at this apartment complex here, it looks pretty nice. It's in a nice part of Dublin. It's got plenty of facilities, a lot of other residents in this block, non-IPAS residents, I might add. And many people have been asking the question, how can someone who just landed in Ireland within a week or two, a teenager on their own, end up in a residential place like this when there are so many Irish families living in temporary accommodation in squalor in some cases? People are asking that question. How can these teenagers just arrive in Ireland and automatically get a place like this with 24-hour care? And it's alleged that the people that were in this apartment didn't have any physical or mental health issues. But yet, here we are discussing this frenzy that happened where we saw at least one young man killed.
Now, all the resources of a murder investigation are being deployed by Gardaí, and they are awaiting the results of a post-mortem examination, which they say will determine the next steps in this case. The incident happened yesterday at an apartment in Grattan Wood complex in Donaghmede in Dublin, and this apartment was being used as a Tusla care facility. Now, the CEO of the Children's Rights Alliance, Tanya Ward, has issued a statement today, and in it she wrote that this was an exceptional and rare incident in a residential setting for children. She says it is vitally important that the next steps is an independent review by the National Review Panel to establish the circumstances of this death and whether there was any possibility of preventing it from happening.
Well, preventing it from happening, I'm sure there's several ways that it could be prevented from happening, but yet here we are discussing it. And bear in mind also that there were many families living in this complex who had, I assume, either renting or had bought their apartments with children there, young children, school-age children, babies, while this was going on, beside them, above them, below them, depending on where they were situated within that apartment complex block.
Tanya also added that at the heart of this case was a 17-year-old boy who was alone in Ireland, and that his death will forever impact his family and friends. Now, the Ukrainian embassy have also offered their deepest sympathies to the Davydenko family in Ukraine. They say that they are offering consular assistance to Vadym's loved ones, and they are working with Gardaí. They're also making the necessary preparations for the repatriation of Vadym's body to Ukraine. Now, Gardaí say they are following a definite line of inquiry in this. They're not seeking to speak to anyone else as part of this investigation. Another 17-year-old boy remains in hospital this evening with non-life-threatening injuries, and Gardaí say they will speak to him once he is medically fit to do so. It's understood, though, that other teenagers were at the apartment at the time of this incident, and Gardaí are working with Tusla to contact the families of these young people to inform them of the incident as well. As I say, all the resources of a murder investigation are being deployed on this case.
So just listen to that. Okay, she doesn't mention that the other teen that's in hospital is Somalian. So he's there waiting for surgery, sitting in a hospital bed waiting for surgery. Okay, has been already accommodated in that apartment complex block. This young man who, this is how crazy it is. He fled Ukraine because he was fearful of his life. He was seeking international protection, and ironically, when he got to Dublin, he was dead within a week or so. But yet, Dublin is a safe place. Same with the Somalian and whoever else was in that apartment. I don't know how. It's a miracle more people weren't injured, seriously injured, or killed by this savage that's currently taking up a hospital bed in Dublin, waiting for surgery. And the Gardaí are throwing everything they have behind this as a so-called murder investigation. Now, let's look at this details with regards to the attacker, because not a lot is being said about him. So the Gardaí are watching the suspect in murder of asylum seeker as he undergoes surgery. They're keeping a watchful eye on him as he undergoes surgery on his hands. Oh yeah, just get him a bed, get him operated on ASAP. Even after he's came here and murdered someone else who's came here from another country, allegedly. The Somali youth, who's under 18, was initially arrested following the shocking stabbing of Vadym Davydenko, age 17, at an apartment complex in Donaghmede. It doesn't tell you what age the Somalian is. It only says that he's under 18. Mind you, having said that, there's a lot of people who are in Ireland who claim to be children that look like they're in their 40s. Not saying he's one of them, but we don't know yet. Just being told he's under 18. Sources say on Thursday, the suspect, who is himself an IPAS applicant, was waiting surgery on both his hands from injuries he sustained during the course of the attack. They're treating him over other people that need hand surgery, maybe. Surely he should go to the back of the waiting list too. Or even better, deport him the hell back to Somalia, let them operate on him in Mogadishu. Sources say on Thursday, he's waiting surgery. He's suspected of committing that attack. Irish Mirror learned that details of unarmed Gardaí from Coolock were the first at the scene and tackled him to the ground. It's understood the suspected attacker was believed to have been holding something in his hand. They made a decision to tackle him. Efforts came before armed Gardaí backed up those first to arrive, and the suspect was then transported to an ambulance. Armed Gardaí arrived. We could have solved this whole issue with a lot more speed, I would say. A woman, understood to have been working in the Tusla-owned apartment, had already been injured during the course of the incident. A row had believed to be started between the two teens who were living there. Apparently it was a row over food. That's what's being reported as well. What, they didn't like the food. There wasn't enough of the food. Wasn't up to their standard. Staff members understood to have been injured as she attempted to intervene. Dear me. Don't get in between these people when they're at it. Just let them go for it. Now she's injured. Davydenko fleeing from war-torn Ukraine for a better life. Here's a little tip for anyone fleeing from war in Ukraine. Ukraine's a huge country, absolutely massive. The war's contained to the east. Just flee to the south, the north, the middle, or the west. You'll be fine. In fact, if you're listening here now, go on to Airbnb. If you fancy a break, a holiday to Ukraine, there's thousands of beautiful villas and apartments. You can rent them, chalets in the mountains. Thousands available all over Ukraine on Airbnb. You don't have to come to Ireland to flee war. Just go to the west of your own country. For anyone that's listening, not that they're going to take my advice. He had only been here for 4 days. Now he's dead. Fleeing war and ironically ended up here and got stabbed by a Somalian. He was fleeing the Russians and he ended up being killed by a Somali, allegedly. Sources have described the bloody scene as horrific. I believe the injuries that young man suffered were absolutely shocking. It was barbaric what happened. The Gardaí will seek, with the help of an interpreter, to conduct an interview with the attacker and wait until surgery is concluded. So we're having to shell out for a bloody interpreter for him as well. Taking up a hospital bed, taking up surgery time, paying for interpreters, paying for his accommodation, paying for his food. And he comes here and does what? Ends up murdering a young man from Ukraine. Now listen to this. The spin that's being put on this as well by the government and the Gardaí, I'm sorry to say. If you read this here, it says Gardaí have said they're not looking for anyone else, but the Gardaí and the government are anxious. What are they anxious about? That certain elements, particularly online, don't succeed in weaponizing this incident as part of their anti-migrant agenda. They're anxious that the right don't weaponize this. Weaponize it? Who's got the weapon? Who had the weapon? Who used the weapon in this? Someone online or someone in the apartment in Dublin, run by Tusla, funded by the Irish government, and administrated, as you'll see, by some squad in the Middle East. The residential unit is run by a private company on behalf of Tusla and is staffed on a 24-hour basis. Really? Wonder who runs it. Let's find out who runs it very briefly. It was refused refugee exemption last year by Dublin City Council for change of use for domestic house to a residential house for children. Okay, so it was refused permission for refugees last year. Who run it? Company called Baig and Misra. Baig and Misra. The application was made by Baig and Misra Real Estate Limited last September 2024 and refused an exemption by the council planners on October 16th last year. Baig and Misra are one of the major contractors who provide care services to Tusla. Last year, it was revealed the company had received more than 43 million euro in payments from Tusla since 2020. They trade under several names, including Care Plus South and Baig and Misra Gulf Holdings. The latter is the beneficial owner of the others and is jointly owned by Mohammed Usman Baig and Fahran Misra. So, as predicted, when this story came out on Wednesday, I said, I'm sure there's plenty of layers to this one. And sadly, at the top of the layer, we have a dead king. But there's a lot more to this one. Has been revealed in the last 48 hours. And I would hazard to say there's a lot more to come. So leave me your thoughts and opinions below, as always. And share this video out, cut and paste the link, drop it into your group, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. For now, I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.